Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on communication, collaboration, and facilitation for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in your car, on your lunch break, or making copies, and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Rebecca Hazelbeck, and I'm joined today by my colleagues from the Office of Professional Learning in Fairfax County Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Anderson.
Hi, I'm Hallie Case.
And today we're tackling a challenge that I think every leader faces, which is how to support and include a team member who might be disengaged or maybe just difficult, but not really interested in participating. Mm-hmm. So we'll be pulling strategies from Diane Zimmerman and Robert Garmston's work, Lemons to Lemonade, today as well. Mm-hmm. So when you think about this disengagement, what does it actually look like in a meeting?
Yeah, so sometimes it does just look like not talking, right? Mm-hmm. Someone who doesn't participate. But that's not the only way that people disengage from meetings. So sometimes they are the person who quickly identifies why like someone puts an idea out and they're like, no, that's not going to work. Okay, well, what about, no, not like this, it's just not going to work. Or they change the subject, like they take up airtime with things that are unrelated to the outcome or the topic. Sometimes people who are disengaged have side conversations and can distract from a meeting because they're talking about their weekend plans with the person sitting next to them. And, so I think before we think about how to solve those disengaged characteristics, it's important to know why, because nobody's doing it because they're trying to annoy you as the team leader, right? It's not typically personal that it's like, oh gosh, Mary Beth, here we go. Let me talk to Rebecca over here, right? So what are some reasons why people may be disengaged in a meeting?
Yeah, so it could be a couple of things. And some common ones that come up is it could be that they feel that the topic of the meeting doesn't pertain to them.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes with one of our recent episodes about thinking about the core elements of an effective meeting, really having that purpose. It might also be that there's a lack of trust there and they don't maybe feel safe based on maybe previous experiences or things that have happened in the past within that same team that they feel that they can't share or feeling shut down. It could also be maybe there's like a gap in skills. So maybe the conversation is around a certain instructional strategy, but I'm not really sure how to participate because I don't know how to do that, or I don't have experience with it, or I'm unsure. So it could make me shut down or do the thing of like, nope, that won't work, which really comes from like a defensiveness. And then lastly, there's external stressors. Everybody has their own home life or own life outside of work or outside of a team setting. And so we carry that with us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that could be something that could be holding us back as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes we just don't know what people are going through. Mm-hmm. And it's important as teacher leaders to try and get them to that space where they're available to collaborate and to learn with one another.
Right.
But I think asking ourselves about those root causes can kind of help us not only plan our approach, but like soften how we're feeling towards that person. Like at least for me, it lessens my frustration or, it takes away negative assumptions that I might be having about that person and allows me to really try to plan a clear path forward. Because if I'm saying I value collaboration and I want everyone's voice, then I want it to mean everyone, right? Mm-hmm. And I think most facilitators would say that. Nobody's okay with just one person not participating. Mm-hmm. We want that, right?
Yeah. And I think like especially when I was a new teacher leader or new facilitator of teams, when these behaviors would happen, I took it personally. Mm-hmm. And I would think like, do they just not like me? Do they not like what I'm doing? And that was a lesson that I had to learn, that there's probably something else and it's not about me. And how do I go about figuring out what is the root cause so that I can come up with some solutions? Mm-hmm. And I think that takes some time too, but to remind yourself of.
So when I think about the quiet team member, one strategy I always used was sort of when I posed a question to the group, having them sort of turn and talk with one another to allow them to process together and then to be able to share out either their idea or an idea from their partner. And that kind of got people talking a little bit. But what other strategies can teacher leaders use to really support engagement?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you named a strategy for someone who's a little bit more quiet. I brought up the that won't work sort of response, and something to try if you have someone who's resistant to new ideas could be to paraphrase them. And we talk about paraphrasing frequently. And I think something maybe that we've never said is that a paraphrase it's not an agreement with somebody, but it is a way to validate them and help them feel like they've been heard. And so if someone's saying that's not going to work because we just don't have enough time. We're never going to get through all of that if we try to put that in place. So you might paraphrase by saying so you're worried that if we try this, we won't have enough time to get through everything. And it matters to you to use our time wisely. You're not saying to that person, you're right, there's not enough time, but you're helping them feel heard. And then you could follow it up with a question if we were to go with this, how could we address the time issue and bring them into solving the problem?
Yeah, and start moving forward with it.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about processing time. Everyone needs different processing time. Some people internalize processing and some people verbalize processing. And so thinking about what can we put in place? You said, a turn and talk, so someone could talk about it and maybe they don't feel comfortable sharing with the whole group, but they'll share with a partner. Another thing is also, let's take some time to either jot your ideas down, think about them in your mind before sharing out, because we might be coming from our busy classroom and we just sat down and now we're supposed to be sharing ideas and we haven't had a chance to collect our thoughts.
Thinking about how people process. Some people are independent processors and need that individual think time. So considering that too might help the engagement.
I think a last strategy that comes to mind for me too is maybe you've gotten to a point where you're listening to this episode and you're like, yeah, I've tried that. Yes, I've tried that. So, I mean, it might be time to have a conversation with that person, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe there are, and it's not necessarily that you're wanting them to share their life story with you if they're going through a hard time. And you can approach someone with curiosity and gentleness of just saying hey, I've noticed that you haven't been participating as much in our team meetings in the past. Is there something going on? Or I just want to check in with you. You seem we're not on the same page when we're trying to make decisions, and it matters to me that, we're able to work well together as a team. Can you tell me more about what you're thinking? And just invite them to share their perspective in a one-on-one setting and not in front of the whole team.
Yeah. And even asking, is there something I can do differently in the organization of our meeting or the logistics of it to invite your voice in?
Yeah.
So that you're getting their input too.
All right. And so what resources are we going to post for this one? I know we have the Lemons to Lemonade handout.
Yes, we do. So we have a Lemons to Lemonade handout that shares different behaviors, and we'll highlight the section about disengaged team members or quiet team members, and it lists a lot of different strategies that teams can use. So we'll add that to our resources on our teacher leadership page.
And that's excerpted from the actual book, which is available through the FCPS Mac and VIA library. So if you're I want to know more, what are these other types of team members? I think that we all, as we started off as facilitators, relied heavily on the tools in that book. So we'll share how to access that.
Yeah, it's a nice little short book. And
it is short.
Very
Easy to
easy read. Yeah.
There's lots of space between the words.
Yes, there is. All right, so thanks for joining us today, and you can find more resources and ideas related to today's topic on our Instagram at FCPS_PD, and join us next week for more PD on the Go.